Stand by.
Parental guidance is suggested.
Stand by for contact.
The following program is for adults only. Parental guidance is suggested. In other words, we're gonna be fucking swearing and talking about fucked up shit. Get your goddamn kids away! Leave me alone! You're listening to Cult of Contempt podcast.
It's now time for the Cult of Contempt mailbag, where we pretend to care about you, the listeners. Fielding the questions this week, Jim Cook.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the COC mailbag, where we give you the behind-the-scenes look at the show. The first question comes from Lindsay D. Wait, I don't want to reveal her. Well, let's just call her L. Decker. She writes, big fan of the show, you guys are awesome, but tell me, why did you change the name? P.S. Jim should be closer to the camera and Phil should be farther away. Lindsay, these are great points, and that is a terrific question. I think this next bit will answer it nicely. All right, guys, roll it.
Hey, little brother.
Hey, Robin, good to see you.
So, I hear you're doing a podcast now? What's it called?
Two Assholes Shitty Podcast?
Really? That's the name. Two Assholes Shitty Podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's edgy, but, you know, it stands out. It's an underground thing. What's the problem?
Jim, really? It's called Two Assholes Shitty Podcast. I can't tell my friends that. Are you going to put that on a resume?
Well, I'm not really worried about that yet. I'm just kind of... It's just a name. However, I gotta warn you, don't say it a third time. It could be...
What, Two Assholes Shitty
Robin,
Podcast?
no!
What the hell is that?
It's a demon. That's Paul. Hey, Paul. Yeah, no worries. I got it. Klaatu Barata Nikto!
Cult of Contempt podcast. We changed the name for a reason.
Get ready, Bond fans. We got exclusive outtakes some thought would never see the light of day.
Your plan won't work, Goldfinger. Little did you know that I have cock insurance against laser beams.
Most remember this classic line from Goldfinger.
You expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. But have you heard these?
This shirt with these pants?
No, Mr. Bond, this shirt with this tie.
You expect me to bake?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to fry.
You expect me to walk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to drive.
You expect me to get drunk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to get high.
Hey man, you wanna see a really good show on the radio, man? Yeah, man, what do you got? Ah, man, Cult of Contempt, it's really a great show, man. These guys are freaking crazy, man. They're absolutely out of their mind. Okay, man, but we gotta get really stoned first, man. Yeah, it's okay, man, no problem. Okay, cool, man.
It's time to name the asshole of the week soon. Cult of Contempt. Cult of Contempt. Cult of Contempt. Wednesdays at 8:15.
Well, welcome to Cult of Contempt.
Cock. That's not nice, Phil.
But
Hello, everybody.
isn't that like an acronym for Cult of Contempt? COC, C-O-C. It's COC, right?
Cock. Can y'all hear us?
Welcome to our COC.
We don't have a guest this week.
It's
no,
just
no
us.
hot Terry.
Yeah, we lost the beefcake to government work.
Oh. The CIA.
That sounds like you got arrested.
The CIA took my Terry away.
Took him away from me.
Am I gonna like drive down 21 and he's like cleaning up leaves at the side of the road in an orange jumpsuit and his tattoos with his arms rolled up and he's just like, yo, and I'm like,
No.
yo, that's
Yeah,
real.
but then as you drive away, he takes off that jumpsuit and assassinates somebody that's there.
And jumps in the car!
And jumps into
And we
another
drive
car,
away.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Assassin.
Assassin.
Assassin?
Assassin.
If that you're like a bad assassin, they call you an assassin.
Assassin.
An assassin. That just sounds like a gay gangbang.
Yeah, it does. Like a gay human
out,
centipede,
boys.
like where
Assassin.
everyone is just entering everyone else.
And you've been there before.
Yeah. The human pentapede. I don't know. What
Oh
they would call it.
God.
What would you call that?
I don't know.
Listeners, what
Daisy
would you
chain?
call that? A bunch of dudes like all walking in a row, like fucking each other in the ass, like walking.
First off, I don't think it could work that way.
Well, you wouldn't be walking.
And
I guess
second,
you'd just be
I would go
undulating.
with the train, and then you loop that song. Come on, ride the train. Woo, woo.
It would almost be like people with like walkers lined up. It would just be like a lot of like weird jerking movements as they move forward because they were
the
entering and
bunny hop?
exiting each other.
No, they would all have to walk in synchronicity.
But I mean, in order for it
Penile
to-
synchronicity.
But if the person's standing up, the hole is here. You can't walk.
This is something that
They must be calibrated for penile synchronicity.
If you're gonna work together as a team, you're gonna have to work together as a team with your shorts off. Now get together. What's the coach say in that situation?
Good hustle. That's what the coach always says.
He slaps you on the ass.
We've been moving at my job, and that's my new thing that I yell at everybody. Good hustle, guys, and I clap.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're that guy.
Oh yeah, I'm such a prick.
Wow.
You're like the clown that goes too hard. You give the kid noogies and he's crying when he walks away at the party.
I thought always clowns were supposed to make you cry. I didn't realize they were supposed to bring you joy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think they're only supposed to make you cry when it's that one French opera, you know, with the crying clown.
I was the kid that if the clown made somebody else cry, that made me happy. I was laughing at that.
Yeah, but the clown would probably never make you cry. Like a clown
No.
would never make. I would look at a clown and be like, dude, you paint your face like an asshole for money. Fuck you. Like,
Right, yeah.
I don't
You
care.
can say the same thing to Gene Simmons.
I would say the same thing to myself when I look into the mirror 4 fucking times a month when I perform. But,
There you go.
you know, it's a costume now.
It is a costume.
I'm honest. I'm straight up. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just wear these dumb
I prefer
clothes.
wardrobe because it sounds
I
classy.
prefer my fucking pajamas. I got arthritis. I don't want to be squeezing in fucking skinny jeans. Trying to fucking deal with that bullshit. Shoes.
You know,
I wanna
could
wear
find some light.
slippers.
You could find some light fabrics.
A
that would
fucking
still-
bathrobe. I just basically want to dress like Ric Flair. Just underwear and a bathrobe and show up to shit.
You could probably get away with it.
Woo!
Have you ever thought about like going online and getting those like Dan Marino pants from the Joey Buttafuoco pants?
Oh, like the Zubas or
The
whatever?
Zubas, yeah. I think
Yeah.
Marino was like a sponsor or something.
Yeah, I do want to
God.
get. I want to get Zubas in every like style, like the USA ones, and they had.
I
Like,
should wear those and then get one of those Baja things that they used to wear at the beach. You know,
I want to get like a Don Johnson blazer.
Nice.
That's been my dream
Miami
since I was
Vice.
a little kid. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and just not leave the house in any of it, and just stay home.
Stay home in a suit.
Yeah, I don't give
The
a
whole
fuck.
point of a suit is to go out.
I got these fucking cameras. I don't need to fucking go out.
How you gonna eat?
I think in years to come,
No.
I'm gonna walk around.
That's the
like,
universal symbol for chicken wings.
This episode brought
He's
to you
eating the
by
chicken.
cookies. Chocolate chip cookies. They're really good. I got them at Quick Check.
They're delicious, and they go great with this beer that Jim brought us because he's a bad influence on us.
Yeah.
So I want to walk around with like a turtleneck one day and like the jacket with the arm The arm
Oh, the patches? Yeah, yeah. The professor look, yeah.
I'm gonna do the professor.
Oh, I think you can pull that off.
Yeah, I can pull it off now.
I think that would play.
I got the beard now. I can.
Yeah, I think that would play.
Good.
Yeah. Short hair, yeah.
That's right. I get pulled over. The cop will just let me go.
I don't know.
I'll be like, "Don't I have your son in?" And he'll just be like, "All right."
You do have a child molester quality to you.
Oh, good, good.
So they're going to want to check the trunk.
You have a childlike quality value. We can get along just fine.
No, you should shave your beard and just keep your mustache.
Just
and
keep the
kinda,
mustache?
Yeah, we should both do it. We'll both be like the Charles Bronson brothers.
And dress like the early '80s.
We're not
Yeah,
changing the
like,
name
you
of the
gotta wear, like,
podcast again.
You gotta wear like a flannel shirt, but like an undershirt underneath it.
I'll wear big clunky old glasses from the '80s.
I'll wear like a cool jacket,
Nice.
like a bomber jacket.
Awesome. I love it. And we'll go out and fight crime together.
Yeah.
So the Bronson brothers would be vigilantes naturally, correct?
Well, I think we would report crime to the police. We would just watch it happen and maybe try to intervene in a way that we don't get hurt.
Yeah.
'Cause let's be honest, me and Phil aren't going to be heroes.
I'm not gonna be beating people up in the middle of the highway.
You know, I could play a role in this. I could be like the Chloe from 24, but I'm really bad at it because I'm not that computer savvy.
I love it.
So it's like, can you give me this name? And I'm like, oh my god,
You'd be like on
what are
dial-up.
cookies? What's going on?
Dial up AOL. Oh, guys, I gotta call you back and dial up to AOL.
I gotta hang on my rotary phone so the dial-up will work.
I'm sorry, that shipment of guns didn't come in because I was on the phone all day. AOL.
I don't miss that.
If you show a child today a rotary phone, they will be the most confused thing ever.
If you showed a child today AOL, they would be infuriated, like, what the fuck is this? If they didn't have a cell phone and all they had was stupid AOL, kids today would kill themselves.
Yeah, probably.
If we went back in time, they would be so fucked.
Welcome. You've got mail.
I used to like changing that all the time to like different sounds.
Oh,
One
yeah?
time we changed all the sounds on my grandfather's computer to a fart. Like everything he did. And we got a very angry call from my grandmother.
Dude, wow.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was great the shit we used to do to him. His name was Marion.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so he didn't really need us to do shit to him, you know.
He already
His
had that
name
life.
already did.
I was wondering about that. Like, you know, you're born with this, like, fucking name, and then you're just kind of, like, scarred for life. And you
I had an Uncle Valerie, too.
Oh, God. What is wrong with these people's mothers and fathers?
I don't know. It's like real bizarre, isn't it?
It's like a boy named Sue all over again.
It was like Walter. That's another name in my family.
Waltz. Oh,
Walter.
Well, there was Walter White. He was a badass.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the first cool Walter. Well, my grandfather was pretty cool, but like Walter White though is like the first like universally accepted cool Walter. What's like a weird name? Do you have any
Walt
weird
Disney.
names in your family?
The Italians were all named the same goddamn thing. They were all Joe, Anthony, Dominic, fucking all the... And then they had to get into the juniors and, you know, Johnny Blue Eyes or whatever.
Well, it's nicknames.
Yeah, a lot of people use nicknames. What were you
My
gonna
cousin
say?
Joel. That's kind of an
Joel.
odd name.
Was it Jello?
There's a I don't know what it makes me, but like my cousin, one of my cousin's kids is named what the hell is his name? I forgot.
Well,
I was gonna say Cooper, but that's Aaron's sister's kid. Come back to me. I know there's some weird names somewhere.
We have like a million Nicoles for some reason.
Nicole was a really common name for a period of time. It affected our generation.
And Kristens, a million Kristens. I don't know.
Fuck them.
Did you ever notice, like, I mean, for me, I've never met an Ashley that wasn't a bitch. Until, like...
Christine is one of those names for me.
Yeah, like 8 months ago, there was an Ashley that worked at the demo company, and she was really nice. She didn't last. The kids don't.
Huh.
Anyway.
So
We were going to talk about what we watched when we were kids, but I never really got much of a caveat on that. So the thing is, when I was a kid, that was the advent of cable television. So I got
a lot of public domain reruns of stuff. By the time I was 5, I was done with Sesame Street. I was looking for, and then by the time I was like 6 and 7, I was watching Consumer Reports on HBO and documentaries about what was that ship that was on fire but they couldn't do anything about it. And then
Andrea Doria?
Yeah, it was a terrible story. These people were literally trapped on this burning ship, and it was just like this floating inferno.
That's
But
horrible.
HBO used to do all these like crazy documentaries, and then they gave Dick Cavett a show. But I don't know. When I was a kid, I always thought he was boring.
You didn't watch Electric Company or 3-2-1 Contact?
Why wouldn't he go by Richard?
Yeah, Rich Cavett.
Did he have to go by Dick?
But a lot of people just go by Dick.
So you watched like a lot of like old people shit when you were
Yeah,
a kid, 'cause it was on. I mean, like I don't mean that. I mean for your age.
Willie and a couple other characters. Warner Brothers. Anytime that was on, it was just. But I used to get bored of Roadrunner because it was just kind of the same bit.
Because you knew it was gonna happen.
You knew whatever
never
was going to happen
happen.
was going to backfire. But then I appreciated it more when I was older. But at the time, my favorite were always the Marvin the Martian ones.
Oh, yeah.
I would just crack up, and I would even back then I was doing impressions of him.
Yes.
Because he had such a cool voice, you know.
Ginger or Marianne?
Marianne.
Yeah, Ginger or Marianne. You're such an egotistical bitch, I swear. You want to say Ginger so bad.
No, you know
wanna
what?
look bad.
I would fuck that professor's wife.
Mrs. What's her
No,
name?
Mrs. Howell.
Mrs. Howell?
She's not.
I don't know, that old broad.
He'd bang her. Yeah, so she'd leave you in the will.
appreciate it.
You know.
You know why? Because I would just want to neg the 2 hot girls on the island just to be a dick.
And then he would hate you.
Fuck him. What's he gonna do? Murder me with a coconut gun? He can eat shit.
I think, I'd just be hanging out with the captain, Gilligan, and laughing about it.
I would build a coconut boat and get the fuck out of there. And take my chances anywhere else than with that group of incompetents.
Did you catch up on like those old '60s sitcoms? Like, I mean, because by the time you were a kid,
Oh, I love. You know what is like? I remember certain things being on, there's certain things being in reruns, and I remember the Brady Bunch, and I remember a little bit of the Brady's, where the Brady Bunch is a pretty fucking. They try to tackle like, oh, whose cigarettes are these your cigarettes, Greg? Oh no, I was carrying them for Michael. Like, but you know they.
Is this your cocaine, Greg?
By the Brady's like.
Is this your dress?
Bobby was like a race car driver, and now he's a fucking quadriplegic or paraplegic.
Shut up.
I swear to God, like Marsha's an alcoholic. It's fucking off the rails.
That's kind of hot.
So I always loved that, like when they would continue something for way too long, and it would become completely absurd.
Yeah. I don't know. Did Fuller House? Did you get into that?
Oh, awful.
I haven't watched it. I have a few friends that raved about it, but I guess you had to like. I don't know. I lasted maybe 2 seasons. I got bored of that TGIF stuff.
I don't like shows that are too saccharine. It just doesn't feel real anymore. It's just awful.
The hook for me was I really liked Dave Coulier because he had a Nickelodeon show called Out of Control, which was where the whole Cut It Out thing came from.
Right.
You know, and Dave Coulier is just a comedian who does like light Weird Al Yankovic kind of timbre humor. You know,
Yeah, he does like
middle of the road.
impressions of cartoon.
Yeah, I
people, all
think
that
there's a place in this world for Dave Coulier, but it's funny. I was getting into this comedian who was a dwarf, and he told this great story where Bob Saget had Brad. I was going to write it down and I didn't.
The dwarf comedian named Brad. He's easy to find.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Bob Saget was doing a charity event. He invited him, and he's like, and then you know, Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey were there, and so Saget pulled him aside and said, you know, Stamos is like really afraid of midgets, and he's like, oh, okay, Mr. Saget. Because at first he thought he was like, hey, you have to meet, you know, John Stamos. Like, oh, okay, Uncle Jesse, that's cool. He's like, no, you have to meet him. So he runs into the green room and starts humping his leg, and then right on cue, Uncle Joey comes in and cut it out right on cue, and like I don't know, look it up on YouTube.
Those guys love to fuck with people. I think it was Bob Saget was saying on at CERN or something that him and John Stamos went into like a restroom and they saw a guy. There was a guy peeing, so they just went both on each side of him. There's three urinals. So they both went on each side of him, and fucking Saget looks over at Jesse. He's like, "Hey Jesse, how's your Hey Jesse, how's your career going?" And it's like, "Oh, it's pretty good, Danny. How's the morning show?" Like they were just in character, and this guy's pissing between them, like losing his shit. Like, holy fuck.
Oh my god.
It's like, that's the thing, like if that guy told somebody that, nobody would ever believe him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was pissing, and then John Stamos and Bob Saget came into a restroom and revived their characters from Full House.
Yeah, who would believe that?
That's an insane fucking thing to happen. But Bob Saget's like a comic. Like he's a fucking great comic.
If you ever see his stand-up, he's dirty as fuck.
Oh, he's awesome.
Like, he is, like, totally unchained. You would never guess that he was on this saccharine kind of sitcom. But I actually got to meet him in New York City. We got a behind-the-scenes tour at a Broadway show that he was in. And he is a big motherfucker. Like, he is just a really tall motherfucker. He's like that Crane from those old cartoons. And he's got the big Adam's apple.
He's got a huge neck.
He's got a huge neck, and he's got a huge Adam's apple. Nicest guy you ever met. He had like the flu that day, and he still came out to say hello to us and tell us about the show and how excited he was. I don't remember what fucking show it was. It wasn't like some, like some huge show or anything like that. But he was in it on Broadway, and it was very nice.
That's cool.
He's a very cool guy. So he's a very down to earth guy as well. But his stand up is fucking funny, dude. If you ever catch his shit, he's like Unchained. Like, he's totally out there.
I was always a big fan of Family Matters.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm thinking about what that show would have been if they never introduced Urkel. Like, it would have just been like basically a black Full House.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And then they introduced Urkel as like a guest character.
Like
and
the
then,
wild card.
And then it became like, this is like a ratings bonanza. So like they just made Urkel like the focal point of a show about a family that he's not in.
Right.
You ever think about that and the absurdity, and then where that show actually ended up going? Like, he goes to space. Like, it's maddening to think about Family Matters. It really is. He builds evil robot versions of himself. It's fucking.
It's the old jump the shark.
Oh my god! But they jumped the shark in like the 4th season when there's like evil doll versions of him and Phil, but then like it still continues for like 3 more years.
By the end of Mork and Mindy, there was a character that turned out to be Mork's friend, and then turned on him and was like this evil inner space assassin trying to kill him.
Oh my god! I never heard about that.
Oh my god! Yeah. Yeah, it was like I think it was like the last season. It was crazy. The whole thing was almost serial, and they like I don't know. They sprayed him with something.
This guy's trying to kill me.
Yeah. There was a dumb Futurama movie where they're like it was.
I really fucked the mom on Mrs. Doubtfire.
But instead of they were doing like a Dungeons and Dragons thing, and instead of like orcs, it was morks, and it was just the zombie morks, and they were just like slicing their heads off left and right. But like,
That's
I don't know, some people. I mean, a lot of people have that Robin Williams thing. You either love him or hate him. There's no middle ground with that guy.
What's the deal with the new Aladdin movie? They're having like
the genie.
Yeah,
Will Smith,
Everyone's mad. It's great.
I know. It's like you're so conflicted because like you want to like Will Smith, but it's like
I don't like
Robin Williams.
Will Smith is like an asshole. He does all these sci-fi movies that I think end up getting dumbed down because Will Smith is in them.
Really?
Like,
that cop movie with the orcs was pretty good. That Netflix.
That was cool.
I thought he was good.
I Am Legend. It was like a movie I was waiting years, to see. Like, I always like.
Is that based on a comic or a novel?
No, it's based on a book.
Okay,
by
it was a novel.
Richard Matheson, and there was a movie made of it called Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price.
Oh,
right,
yeah,
and then there was the Omega Man with Charlton Heston.
Also good.
That's fucking old man jacked walking around mad. And then
nice.
And then Ridley Scott had I Am Legend in development for years to make like a modern take on it, and it didn't go anywhere. And then somebody else got it, and they put Will Smith in it. They changed the fucking ending. and they CGI all the monsters. Like they could have done that with people, and it would have been fucking awesome. Instead of these like CGI, like they look like the first Hulk and like early Spider-Man, just like these shitty. They don't match.
That's not Will Smith's fault.
And I'll tell you,
but think about the movies that he did that had potential to be great. That were like sci-fi movies, like I, Robot.
Yeah,
I thought could have been great.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so many. Like Independence Day, I liked.
Yeah, what about Men in Black, man? Those movies are great.
They're alright.
You
The
don't
first
think so?
one was good. The second one I thought was cool. By the third one, I was like, out.
Really?
I
kind of
I thought the tone was a little too silly. I think they were going for like
It's based on a
X-Files
comic book that's like kind of fucked up.
Wait, Men in Black was based on a comic?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any original idea?
No, it was kind of like a parody version of the comic book, and it wasn't a very popular comic book. I don't think.
I mean, somebody wrote that comic, man. Good for them. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's a clever concept. Like, it exists, but it doesn't exist, and then like. You know, it's kind of like that Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing. People don't notice there's monsters
Well, I
in
like that
Sunnydale
they use
because
it to explain certain things that would make sense. Like how
Dennis Rodman's weird.
and these certain people that are
that's
aliens,
right.
and like the things in Queens, the giant saucers that are up there. It's like, oh yeah, these crashed, and we just made this World's Fair and put them up and whatever. Like they did all this weird shit. It explains like the New York blackout with that ball that bounces around. I like the first Men in Black movie.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
think that was cool, and I'm in with the second one too.
Right.
Like, I think it was alright, but the third one I just didn't care for.
Okay.
I missed that there was no continuity between them either. Like, not that I really wanted
I
to
don't
see
even know if I
fucking
saw the third
Linda
one.
Florentino in Men in Black 2. Like, I would have given a shit, but I would have given a shit as a kid. Now, I don't think it would have been good, and I don't know about, like, what...
I gotta disagree. I liked the third Men in Black movie. I do understand what you say about the continuity and stuff like that. I wasn't going in with high hopes. I was kind of like, all right, this
What's
is
the
just a
plot of the
franchise
third
now.
Men in
I don't
Black
even remember.
movie?
Was
I don't
Isn't
even
there,
think I
there's like
saw
an
it.
alien that comes to Earth or breaks away or something like that, and he's kind of a criminal and stuff like that, and they gotta go find him.
Isn't...
But is it the original two, or is it a
Rip
new
Torn
cast?
is dead in it, right?
Yeah,
Zed, yeah, that's like it starts...
Zed's
with-
dead, maybe.
Yeah.
That's from a different movie, but yeah, Zed is dead.
Yeah, I don't think I watched the full Men in Black 3. I think I was like watching it on TV or something and just didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out after two. I don't know.
He did a lot of sci-fi movies though, Will Smith. That fucking After Earth movie. He does a lot of fucking sci-fi movies.
What was that? What was that passion piece he did with his kid?
After Earth?
That's it. Okay,
I think it was called, yeah.
No,
Oh, that's
he
what it was
did that
called?
one where he was a lawyer in San Francisco.
No.
This kid was a lot younger than though, I think. Or is that Jane Smith? I don't
I don't know, that Karate Kid thing kind of pissed me off. Like,
That wasn't karate. That was kung fu.
yeah,
not
because
everything has
Jackie
to be
Chan's
okay.
kung fu, right? Yeah. Yeah, karate's a particular technique. The punches are different.
And speaking of remakes, we were also supposed to talk about
Yeah, let's go
the
to
best and worst cover
Best
songs.
and worst cover songs.
Oh
And I got
boy.
my handy book right here. Do you want to start?
Always something there to remind me. That's a good cover song.
You want to hear what mine are?
Wait, like a good song to cover, or
Oh, that was covered. Like,
is it an old song?
Okay, here's the
Yeah.
ones that I have.
Right, and then he breaks into the baby. Where did our love go? Isn't there a
Yeah.
breakdown in that? Yeah. That was a good cover. What do you got?
I got Dinosaur Jr. Just Like Heaven. They covered the Cure song Just Like Heaven. You ever hear the Dinosaur Jr. version? It is pretty cool. Not only is it cool, but they do the guitar part a little ironically. So they kind of like make the song, but they also make fun of the song at the same time. And I think that's really fucking bitchin'.
I was never really on the Dinosaur Jr. bandwagon.
Oh, go back, man. I think they're pretty cool. I think they're fun.
I just found them a little dirgy.
Yeah, they can get like that sometimes, but they
is that
also
shoegaze?
No, that was way before that. I was
I don't know,
listening to
the singer
Dinosaur
seemed like
Jr.
a
in like
douche.
high school. Yeah, he probably is a little bit of a douche, but they're still kind of cool
Like,
bands.
they were, I don't know, they had that video where they're playing golf, and then Tabitha Soren played mini golf with them. And then he's like, and then she's like, "Oh, I beat you," and he's like, "No, nobody beats anybody in golf. It's you versus the course."
That's
And I
funny.
was like, "What a fucking douche! He probably smells his farts out of a jar, man." And then at the time there was this cover record for Kiss called, "Kiss My Ass," And Dinosaur Jr. did this really great Gene song called I Think I'm Going Blind. And they just fucking sucked the life out of it.
I'm growing blind.
The unplugged version is actually really good.
Yeah, from the
The unplugged album, the Kiss unplugged album is good. I mean,
I like
people
that.
forget they aren't
They
good
do
musicians.
2000, man. That's one of my favorite covers that Kiss does.
Oh my god, yeah,
Man.
that's like a throwaway Keith Richards song. It's on like the worst Beatles album. Rolling Stones record. It's on Her Majesty's Request, or for her Satanic Majesty's Request.
Yeah.
It's a very hippie album. At one point
It's
in
like
the album,
their
Ali described
Sgt.
it best
Pepper.
as, yeah, it was their Pepper. It was just like a bunch of grown men just making sounds, you know, high on drugs. And there's a couple gems on there. I think that Comes in Color song that was used for the Apple computers in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
That song's on there, which I think is a great.
Dude, I'll tell you, Kiss has a couple of my favorite covers, like
Okay.
Any Way You Want It.
Oh, the Dave Clark 5, that's on
And
the
they
live
also
too.
and they also fucking do on this Ramones tribute album, Rock and Roll Radio.
Yeah, I heard that. That was on the
unbelievable.
that was on the
Rob
Jack-
Zombie produced. Rob Zombie produced a Ramones tribute record with Johnny Ramone.
But it wound up on the School of Rock soundtrack, I think. And
Oh,
it was
did
played
it?
in the movie, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
where I heard it, but because
Yeah.
I was all in.
That's just like fucking. It's so good, and it's like so weird to hear a band like Kiss cover a band like the Ramones. It's like the opposite.
But just that B section is just tailor made for Paul Stanley's voice. That I can't do it like him, but
Do you remember Hullabaloo? Yeah, he's like real, like super.
it's the sea because Paul does it high like Joey used to just do. You know, Joey had.
Yeah.
Joey was Joey.
Do you remember Hullabaloo? I don't know why I didn't get the Marky Ramone job.
Speaking of Joey Ramone, one of my favorite covers is him doing "What a Wonderful World."
And I say to myself,
He really hits that note at the end. It is not auto-tuned.
I think Joey Ramone was also kind of being ironic and like just like a snot-nosed punk, like just like not even caring about his own singing.
But I think as time went on, I think he practiced his craft.
cared about it.
Yeah, later on.
But he made it sound like he didn't, and that was like kind of the attitude of that punk rock sound. I think.
Yeah.
In my mind, like, yeah, he
Iggy
was.
Pop nailed that, I think, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like they made it look like natural. Like I'm just doing it natural. I don't even care about this shit. Like I have a fucking attitude about it. Like I don't know. That was just what I got out of it.
A couple other favorite covers. And the thing about cover songs, and Ali and I have been talking about this for years, is just like, do you like the, you know, some people have this argument, I like the cover or the original, and then I think it always comes down to the one you hear first is the one that becomes familiar to you and the standard of what that song is. So anything else that's different becomes a different standard.
I disagree because.
Well, let me finish. But
Okay.
sometimes there's exceptions to the rule, and one of them is Johnny Cash's "Hurt." I heard the Nine Inch Nails version
That's a good
first. I
one.
was never that big of a fan.
I liked it.
And I mean, I thought the lyrics were good, but I don't know. I wasn't that in the bag for them. I like their faster songs. But anyway,
I got
the Johnny
lyrics a lot.
Cash one made me actually weep. It was just like, it moved me. And there's not a lot of songs that can, well, there's a lot of songs that make me weep. But anyway, so why do you disagree? So you don't think
I know a lot of cover songs that I really like, man, where I'm not as fond of the original, even though I heard the original first. Like Cinnamon Girl, I like the Type of Negative version, like much
Great
better than
cover.
the original. That's an amazing cover. And Cinnamon Girl was a song I remember from my childhood. But it wasn't that I was familiar with it because, you know, I'm old as fuck, but like I didn't like love that song or anything. I'm sure my parents or my, you know, uncles or whatever made love to that song. It's probably something for them. But, you know, the Type of Negative version for me is
Wait,
like,
I have questions about
that's
your
the one I
uncles
was getting
making
laid.
love. Are they making love with each other?
Probably. They were part of that team that was doing that synchronicity.
Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. Oh my
I'm
God.
just saying that generation.
No, you know what? I get that. That's like, that reminds me of High Fidelity when he walks in and he goes, is this fucking Frampton? When he's watching Lisa Bonet
Nice.
sing that Frampton song. It's like, I think taking a song and kind of playing it your own way, or if you just like it, I don't know, like, there's some people that are like, oh, stick to what it is.
I don't agree
But,
with
like,
that, and that's kind of tough.
Well, there's some people that also think you shouldn't cover songs. It's like, the person wrote it. It's like, well, you know what? Like, yeah, I guess painters wouldn't cover another painting. Like, yeah, this is my interpretation of Starry Night. But you know what? I have seen people fucking try to do whatever, you know, like
They do homages to each other.
yeah.
And that's all a cover is an homage.
I think a cover is more than that.
Okay.
I think a cover is like, hey, you shouldn't cover a song if you don't like. I can't cover a song I don't like. Like I covered that Britney Spears song, like If You Seek Amy. It's like, A, because it's easy to play on guitar, but B, because it's fun as fuck, and C, because people don't expect a dude to be playing that on acoustic guitar. It's like a good like icebreaker for people in the room that see me come dressed in my fucking pajamas.
Right.
You know,
Your cover selection was, I always thought was pretty good.
thanks.
Yeah.
You know?
And like,
But I always played it cool, and I sat at that part by the other end, you know, and watched from afar. You know,
Look at you.
what's the way to do it?
The critic with the
But
red scarf.
I also think, like, especially doing the open mics, like, you know, you're showing people your kung fu, what you can do, what your strengths are, what you like, and if you really like a song, and I disagree with the art thing because there are like comic book artists that are always constantly influencing each other as you go on.
Sure.
Oh, that's true.
You know, so
Writers do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, when Futurama and The Simpsons do a parody of something and they draw something almost exact, or when Family Guy does a tribute, or
Family Guy will do
Chicken,
the, or no, South Park did the cripple fight. That's a shot-for-shot remake of They Live.
yeah,
It's
so,
like, that's great.
so art, you know, we're all connected. I think we all influence each other. Yes, you're right. Nobody should do a paint by numbers story night unless that's like what your joy is. I'm not gonna
What
tell
else
you.
is one of your favorite covers?
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got here? This is an obscure one. Well, kind of obscure. 5446 by Sublime. It was originally the Toots and the Maytals, which is like an old school reggae band.
Mm-hmm.
But that song is great. That song is like, you know, you're talking to some dude who's probably gonna fuck you up about how you didn't tell the cops you were like doing crime and stuff like that. And if you listen to the original, it's like so chill. But the way that Sublime did it is kind of mixed up with reggae, but there's kind of like a punk rock thing in there. There's like a little hip
I
hop.
like Sublime.
It's really well done, and it's really almost a different song. And the funny thing is that I heard that the Toots and the Maytals played in Montclair recently. I think it was
Wellmont.
at the Wellmont Theater, and I didn't get to
I like
make that
Wellmont.
show, but they're still playing, which is cool, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know. I always like Sublime's covers. They did Smoke Two Joints.
yeah, that's a great
That's
one.
a great cover.
That's
I like.
fantastic.
And they do Hope too by the Descendants, which I always
Yes, yes, and I love the Descendants actually.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite bands, and it's like it's not a band I want to hear covered. You know, like there's
Right.
that too.
Right.
Like there's some things I would never.
But that
touch.
was an homage.
But that's totally an homage.
Yeah,
It's great too.
yeah.
Like it's fucking awesome.
That was like a thank you, and they knew each other too. Actually, they had played shows together. And if you listen to the end of 40 Ounces to Freedom, you'll hear Bradley do shout out to the Descendants.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh my God, there's so
Wendy by the Descendants, great cover.
That's
The
a fantastic
Beach Boys,
song.
It's a great song, and I think that's the key. Is like a great song is a great song, kind of regardless of how it's presented. How it's presented is a matter of taste. Like if I play something as a reggae song, I play something as a punk rock song. There's going to be people that love the reggae one. There's going to be people that love the punk rock one. There's going to be people that are indifferent to both, and there's going to be people that like both.
yeah, you can make everybody happy.
Yeah, it's never, you can never please everybody, but you can take something and turn it on its ass and make people listen, like Johnny Cash.
Right.
With Hurt, like Trent Reznor, when he heard it, was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like,
Wow.
what the fuck? Why the fuck would
I heard an interview where he was all.
he was once he realized who the fuck Johnny Cash was? Like, he didn't realize Johnny Cash was like a music legend. Like, he just heard this like old dude singing this song and was like, what the fuck is this? At first, like he was kind of like not off put, but just didn't get it.
Reznor's a businessman, so he's looking out for himself.
Well, he got paid too,
Yeah.
you know. But like,
But he just seems like the kind of guy, if he doesn't like.
but Johnny Cash's
use the
fucking
money.
whole cover album, like he does like a bunch of covers. He does "Won't Back Down" by Tom Petty with Tom Petty on backing vocals.
Yeah,
and
the
he does "Rusty
Heartbreakers were.
Cage."
Yeah,
Awesome.
Rusty Cage. Yeah, the Heartbreakers were the backup band.
Oh,
For that
okay,
record.
that's cool.
The Rick Rubin connection, because
Oh,
Rick
shit.
Rubin did Wildflowers for Tom Petty. There's a great Tom Petty documentary. I don't know where you stand on Tom Petty, but I
I like
his-
Tom Petty.
He's an
That's right.
American legend.
Oh yeah.
Like I just, you know, through my whole life, I could know Yeah, I could pick a year and I'll know what Tom Petty song was out that year.
Eventually, my music's gonna sound somewhere between Creedence Clearwater and Tom Petty when I get old.
That's where mine is headed right now. So
When I get old, I'm not old enough yet for that. I'm still tuned down a whole step and screaming. Another 4 years.
yeah, there was a video. I think it was attached to basketball.
Yeah, I think it was.
That song's fun, man, and chicks were dancing to that shit at the time. It
A
was
lot of
fucking
the
hot.
ska bands really took to the 80s.
Yeah.
Because I guess it lends itself because, there was a lot of horns in the 80s. It was a horny time.
You know how I found out about the Damned, actually? It was from The Offspring covering them on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Smash It Up.
No shit.
Yeah,
I
Smash It
didn't
Up.
know it was a cover until I listened to that thing. But YouTube
shit.
screws with you. They say you're listening to a record, but then they'll throw extra stuff on the end and you don't know what the hell you're listening to.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, and I noticed today the file you put on the drive. I got a lot of stuff to listen to. I didn't realize it was there. It's been there since the 10th.
Oh, yeah, it's been there.
Oh my god, you hooked me up.
Cool, man.
Cover songs. The first time I heard "Come Together" was actually by Aerosmith, and I just thought it was the coolest freaking song.
Really?
Yeah. My parents really weren't big Beatles people. I would just hear snippets here and there used for various.
Did they like the
things.
Stones, or were they like fucking Pat Boone?
They were weird. It changed. My dad got to a point where all he'd listen to is the greatest hits of Talking Heads and the song Black Velvet. That's my dad. My mom, she liked Queen, but she also liked to clean to classical music because her godmother, which was kind of a second mom to her, played classical music while she cleaned. So she found it calming. So Janet was, like me, she's batshit, but, so if it calms her, I'm all for it. But as far as... All right, so the new Weezer album came out, and a lot of people's complaint is that the covers are too straight up. And you were just saying, you like to turn songs on its end. Because the whole idea of doing a cover is to get people's attention and play something familiar, but to get them into your sound.
But you can't turn a Misfits song on its ass. You really can't turn a Ramones song. Like Marilyn Manson tried to turn the KKK Took My Baby Away on its ass.
Oh, I gotta write that down.
And boy, is it... he puts like marching in there at the beginning. It's like fucking... It changes the whole tone of the song. Does it make it better? No, because I think it changes the tone of the song to kind of a weird tone. Like Rob Zombie does Blitzkrieg Bop, which is odd, but it's what I expect from Rob Zombie. But is it a good version of Blitzkrieg Bop? To me, no. Like I think Blitzkrieg Bop. No band should really ever cover Blitzkrieg Bop.
Yeah.
At least he kind of changed it up. I'll give him that. But it's one of those things where I really kind of just want to hear it the way it was written.
There's an exception to the Blitzkrieg Bop rule. If you're drunk with a bunch of musicians and you're jamming and you have nothing in common, there's always Blitzkrieg Bop.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I'll never... the Stripped Down Aces play March 9th at Bogey's, free admission.
Nice.
We're doing 3 hours. It's going to be awesome. And...
Shameless plug!
yeah, we're not doing... we're definitely not doing Blitzkrieg Bop.
I'll probably be there.
Probably.
Maybe you should.
You should be there.
I want to be there.
Oh,
No,
wait,
you should do Blitzkrieg Bop.
You think I should do Blitzkrieg Bop?
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know. I got to talk to the committee.
I think that's why I didn't get the Mark Ramone thing. Because I asked him, like, can we play Blitzkrieg Bop? And he's like,
You should have said something like, can we play Pet Cemetery?
oh, I hate that song.
It's catchy as hell, though.
No, it's not.
All right, what is your favorite Ramones song?
That song to me sounds like Stephen King throwing a bunch of money at the Ramones.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Hey guys, we write a song called Pet Cemetery.
The greatest Ramones song is a later song. I mean, to me, it's called Bonzo Goes to Pittsburgh.
I like that song.
Yeah, me too.
It's got this great bridge, and Joey's singing, and they got these backup singers, and there's bells, and it's this huge almost throwback to the girl groups, which the Ramones always said in interviews they were really into. All the Phil Spector bands.
Yeah.
So that's why they wanted to work with Phil Spector. But when they did rock and roll radio, like, it's supposed to be a rock and roll song, and you barely hear the guitar. It's the horns are doing all the heavy lifting for the.
That's why I think Kiss's version is so awesome. That's like a rock band.
Because it's just the chord progression. I mean, that sounds great on a guitar.
Yeah, it does.
But I can't think of any other covers right now. But
I can think of some terrible ones.
Yeah.
all right, let's switch gears.
Yeah.
What's a bad cover?
Well, Marilyn Manson's KKK Took My Baby Away is up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Britney Spears shit all over I Love Rock and Roll.
Yeah, didn't she do a
right.
Stone song too? That was real bad. I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Wasn't that bad?
My number one is Miley Cyrus, Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Ah, really? That happened?
That's the worst.
Ah, that's unfortunate.
Did you guys ever hear the who was that chick in the 90s? She was all serious and played piano. Snow can't wait to forget my mittens.
Tori Amos.
Tori Amos. She did Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh, God.
And made it like this, like it was at a funeral and everybody was crying over somebody dying. Like,
Oh my god.
I don't know. She just sucks the life out of a room, man.
Yeah.
But the girls who listened to her were promiscuous.
Yeah. Goers. Goers.
A lot of girls that I had flings with were into Tori Amos. So
Yeah,
I just-
in the 90s, if a girl was either smoking a cigarette or into Tori Amos, she was a goer, I think. That was like...
A goer? Is that what that...
No, I don't want to sound rapey about it. Like, oh, you listen to Tori Amos, but you know, like...
That's not rapey. That just means that she was ready to have a interesting chat. Her genitals wanted to chat with my genitals, okay?
Oh, one last cover song that I really want to know. If you don't know this one, all right. So I worked at the radio station in college, and we used to get all these free CDs that this guy Kiernan didn't want, and they would wind up seeing around, and we'd just take them home. And there was this band, 1,000 Moaning Lisa's, and the album was terrible, but I left it playing in the player, and this is back in the 90s when they always had those mystery songs that, you know, the hidden track at the end. Nirvana used to do it a lot.
Yeah.
But and they would just do noise. But you hear like I don't know, like 2 minutes you hear yee, and then all of a sudden they break into "You Wanna Know" by what's her name, Alanis Morissette, and it's great. It's like this. It's almost like a straight up punk rock cover of it.
Cool.
But like there was this band Coffin Break that did a cover of Beth. And it was just a punk rock. If you go straight through Beth, like it's under a minute.
Oh wow!
They plow through
But
it
it's
maybe a minute
just
and
the
10.
song tempos.
Right, and all that. Yeah,
It's like so slow.
Yeah.
Was that Bob Ezrin? Who
Probably, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean I don't know.
Beth, I hear you calling.
But again, why didn't Springsteen cover that?
Oh, good
That would have
question.
been great.
I hate Bruce Springsteen.
I thought you liked him.
No, I really loathe him. I remember being a kid and there was this friend my parents had that lived next door. Speaking of covers, this guy sucked at covering anything, especially Springsteen. But like, oh, we're gonna go see our friend Bobby. He plays at a bar. You want to come? I'm like, ugh, all right. I figured, so I'm like, all right, guys, going to play music at a bar. Like that would be cool.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, you know any Misfits? He's like, nah, man, I know Bruce Springsteen songs. Like, he fucking would like tell the same dumb story Bruce Springsteen tells, and then he would play the song. It's just like, God, I don't want to hear Bruce Springsteen play Badlands, let alone this asshole make us suffer through it.
There's like 4 Bruce Springsteen songs that I would either consider covering or I kind of like. There's this band, the Guanabats. I think they do.
Born to Run.
No, they did On Fire, and then that other dude did Fire.
So many fucking bands cover that too.
Yeah.
And then there was a girl group that did Fire.
That's been playing in my house since I was a little kid. It's like my parents staring longingly at each other, like, "Oh yeah, Bruce Springsteen." And like my mom stroking my dad's beard.
I was a kid for Born in the USA when that was the big, what was that, 84, 85? Like,
For some reason, Bruce Springsteen's music to me always sounded like shit that people would play at Christmas. It just sounds like Christmas carols, all of it.
It really does. And when he does the Christmas
bing,
song,
bing, 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 like all these fucking. I was like, dude, what is this?
War Pigs became like a thing that everybody would cover all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fate No More did a great version because they kind of gave you an idea of what they were going to sound like. This is the band we're going to be, that we are. We have this really unique sounding bass guitar. We got this guy Roddy Bottom on the keys, just adding atmosphere, and then you got this lunatic wildcard singer and this crazy dude on electric guitar. And I missed anybody? I don't know. And the drummer was good.
Mike Patton's a genius, by the way.
Yeah, he's fucking amazing.
But then I thought that was the quintessential cover of that song until I heard the band Cake do War Pigs.
Really?
And it's amazing. Have you heard it?
I gotta check that out.
I haven't.
I really Google this one. It's not what you'd expect, and they they incorporate the trumpet. The trumpet does the solo basically.
Nice.
But there's all this stuff with keyboards, and I'm not really an electronic guy, but it's a great cover.
I always liked Cake, actually.
Me
It's
too.
one of my
And they did I Will Survive. Like,
Really?
Right.
yeah, that was on the first record. Well, the second record, Fashion Nugget, the first record I'd heard. But it's funny with Fake No More. I thought the first record was Introduce Yourself, but it's actually We Care a Lot, which came out.
Oh,
years
yeah.
before.
Yeah, that guy played at Dingbats. The original
Chuck Mosby? No.
Chuck Mosley, yeah.
Yeah, Chuck Mosley.
He was like acoustic, and it was, everybody said it was like the worst thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
And then he died.
The Real Thing is like one of my top 10 albums ever.
Yeah.
The Real Thing is fucking amazing.
I was going to use
Go back.
Woodpeckers from Mars before you put the kibosh on me using copyright these.
No copyrighted music. I'm not paying ASCAP.
But I really was going to use Woodpeckers from Mars because it's a great piece
What
of
the
music.
hell else were we supposed to talk about tonight?
I don't know. This is the Malaise show. This is like
My other awful cover was Alien Ant Farm doing Smooth Criminal.
Oh, yeah.
Only because I worked the 2001 MTV Music Awards as a stagehand, and we had to move their band equipment, and then they came out and they like yelled at all the stagehands in like an embarrassing manner, like so a substitute teacher would yell at children. And one of these guys
scolded by Alien Ant.
Yeah, I did.
Were you yelled at by the fat guy, the singer?
No, I don't know. I think it was the guitarist.
Why
It was
would the
this big
singer
guy with
give a
dark hair.
fuck about any of that? All he has to do is sing. It's everybody else that has to do shit.
And then
Not if you're a conscientious singer.
one of the guys turned to me. I don't know if you've ever made stagehands, but they're not like the most like stable people. Like they'll fucking flip out and fuck shit up. Like, and most of them are pretty tough.
I was a sound guy.
And like one of the guys turned
A lot of
around to
them
me
are
and
union.
he's like, I was this close, and he walked away. And they're like, what are they talking about? They're like, oh, Bobby threw the Edge's guitar in the East River one time. Apparently he talked to him like an asshole. He's like, you know what? And picked up his guitar, whoosh, and walked away. Nothing happened to him. They're all like all families and shit. They all know each other. It's all nepotism and
It's
shit
all
like that.
yeah, the mob and shit.
It was like I was working like 30-hour
Were
days
you
for 3
your
days.
uncle?
I went out
was
west.
the uncles that were touching.
I went out. No, with touchy-feely uncles. That was just a joke. I went out west with this girl. I spent a month on the train traveling across the country after I graduated. When I came back, her stepfather was a stagehand, and he knew I spent a lot of money. I saved up all summer to do it, and so he was like, "Oh, I'll help you like make some money over the weekends, and maybe you'll see if you like your job." But it was like the hardest job I ever
I'll
worked
help
in my
you
life.
make some money over the weekends.
Is that Watkins?
Maybe. Pushing Natalie Wood off a boat.
Did you say Watkins?
Walking. I always do that. Yeah, my wife makes fun of me. Look, I'm rough around the edges. That's just how I
Brad
am.
Pitts.
Brad Pitts.
Tom Cruise.
I can't think of Brad. Like, we did that bit last week where my friend Dennis said, "Oh yeah, getting a blowjob from Brad Pitt would be awesome." And so now I can't get that visual out of my fucking head.
That's filthy.
But he specifically said Fight Club Brad Pitt.
Should we hit up Inquisitor?
Yeah, let's do it. I haven't filled him in a while. Hey, Quizzy. All right. You guys fill it in. Oh, good. All right. Phil, why don't you do a potpourri while I put them together?
Oh yeah, that's true. So apparently the Dems have come in this great state of New Jersey, in the Garden State, and they've come together and they said that they've finally made a deal in principle on the move forward on recreational marijuana in New Jersey. However, the tax system, they're going to charge $42 an ounce. Who the fuck is going to pay $42 an ounce when you can get like an ounce for like $80 off the street?
No, you can't get an ounce for $80 off the street.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't. Not a good ounce.
Well, maybe not a good ounce, no, but still, $40. I feel like that's like a big tax.
No, but it's fine because think of like look at other places where it's legalized and what an ounce costs there. It's like, you know, $50, $40. Like it's the price for an ounce is gonna drop so low.
Right, but you're still gonna have the same tax, $42.
It doesn't matter. Who cares?
So what, it's going to cost like $50 for an ounce?
I'd rather know what I'm getting than get stabbed in a fucking tenement in East Orange.
I don't get stabbed in a tenement. I just see a nice guy at his house, and he invites me in. We have a little chat. That's it.
No. I don't know. I like to know exactly like what I'm getting if I want to try a sativa or an indica.
I like that part. That aspect
I like
of it's
that I
pretty
can
cool.
buy edibles. You know, like I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck. If they tax it, tax it. I hope it fixes the roads. I hope it fixes the schools.
But it's not going to do anything.
I hope it fixes shit.
I hope
it's not
so.
going to do shit. It's going to get wasted.
Yeah, it's going to get wasted.
But that's my goal. You know, like I don't care. I'll play the game. If they fucking make it legal, I'll play the game. I'm not gonna fucking.
Here's my thing, okay? If you're gonna test it and make sure that there's no pesticides or heavy metals or any of that shit, but in a lot of these other states that they have it already, they're not testing it properly. I think 7% of legal weed that is sold is being tested, so you don't really know what you're getting, okay? And then you're getting charged extra on top of that for the tax. That's kind of fucked up. I feel like you need to give an extra service to people and make sure this stuff is safe.
Yeah, but if
And
I
the
could
people
buy
that need medicine
soda
get their own
and I could buy
medicine.
candy and I could buy all that other shit, that's the point. I don't really
That's
care
true.
about.
That's true.
I could buy a fucking bag of weed from anybody, but you know, to be able to get like whatever the hell for candies and all the bullshit that I want, it's like I'd much rather that.
Well, now you're gonna try dabs if those come here?
I tried dabs.
Yeah.
Fucking, you think I want to sit there with a blowtorch heating up a stupid crucible and then taking a no, I don't have time for that.
That's
I don't
get you.
I don't
fucked
need.
up.
You know what? I draw the line at butane for my cannabinoid activities. I guess I would say.
You know, it's getting really scientific now and stuff like that. Like, I'm seeing, like, these guys that are taking joints, they're putting keef into it, roll the fucking joint, and then they put, like, fucking that sticky, like, cannabis oil on the outside of the joint, and sometimes they roll that in keef. Well, you're not going to wake up till Sunday. Like, what's wrong with just smoking a joint and hanging out, man?
I could smoke that whole thing and be fine.
Probably, too. I have a
that
high
shit-
tolerance, but...
I once made out with a girl who used to roll these joints, but she'd mix in clove cigarettes.
Really?
It's called a spliff.
Oh, it was the greatest thing ever.
I used to take a Black and Mild and kind of bust out most of the inside and then
I had a
mix.
problem with Black and Milds.
Mix
I was
about a
smoking
quarter
4 of them
of
a
it.
day.
Yeah, mix about a quarter of it with some other stuff and pump it back in there. And I call it a green and mild.
But the Black and Mild, yeah, they got good
Nice.
flavors like the
Or
cherry
black and
ones.
green. Yeah. Oh, they're great. I haven't done that in a long time.
Did you leave the tip on?
Yeah, I would just empty out all the stuff inside
And then
mix it up, like maybe like a quarter of it with the rest would be the other stuff. Put it all in there, and then take it out at like the bar or whatever. Go outside, fucking smoke it. Like
Nice.
It's funny. I was watching that show Russian Dolls with what's her name? The girl from the Pie movie, Taylor Leone. No, not Taylor Leone.
Fucker.
The girl from Orange Is the New Black. Anyway.
Oh, Orange Is the New Black.
Yeah, everybody's like feverishly typing her name,
Probably.
Tanya Leone or something. I don't know. Anyway, so it's basically Groundhog Day, but it's a little more edgy. She's kind of a drug addict or just a partier, and in it she thinks that this cigarette that was supposedly lined with this joint that was lined with coke is what's making her have these effects on her. Okay. But then she's like trying to do research, to find out the source of the drugs, and then they say, "Oh, it's my own form of Special K."
Oh.
And then, but she keeps dying and then winding up in this bathroom.
Oh, wow.
So, I don't know.
I have an Inquisitor question.
Okay.
Let's go.
What is it?
Inquisitor.
Whose dick would you rather suck?
Oh, God.
Tim Armstrong or Billy Joe Armstrong?
Who's Tim Armstrong?
Rancid.
Oh, Rancid?
He's the guy with the growlier voice.
Well, at least he's a real guy.
No, he's
Good
not.
for
I
him.
always thought the other guy had the gravelly voice.
I don't know.
That was the
No,
cool
Klaus
guy.
or whatever?
No,
Not Klaus.
Lars.
Wolfenstein.
Lars.
Yeah.
Lars Fredrickson.
Who does the high Ruby Soho? That with the spiked haircut?
Yeah, with the mohawk. That's Lars. You can't suck his dick. You have to either suck The other guy.
The guy with the hat, the
boring guy.
transplant guy.
Yeah, the tool guy.
The guy who ruined Pink's career.
Yeah, or
Okay, definitely for that reason, yes.
or Green
kidding.
Day.
I actually like Pink.
You know what? I'm gonna go all Patrick Stewart on this. I would do Billie Joe Armstrong. To
We
see
knew
the
that. You
apartment.
suck his dick all the time anyway. I'm
To see the
such a
apartment.
fan.
I don't know. I think
Fucking fanboy.
I find him to be a.
You wrote that question just to justify your.
I think that one of the fans wrote this question. I don't know which one.
That was not one of my questions were taken out.
Yeah.
All of your questions were?
No, not all of them.
That's what I thought.
I heard from a source that there's still your questions in there.
From an unknown source.
Do you guys know who Raffi is?
Oh,
As a
Raph,
childhood
yes.
singer guy. Yeah, there were jokes about it on The Simpsons.
When I was a kid, this is what I wanted to talk about shit we watched when we were kids.
Right.
Because when I was a kid, my parents should have known that I had some kind of like musical gift because I would sing one of the fucking like commercials that would come on all the time. And I would always sing E-I-E-I-O all the time, constantly. It drove my parents fucking nuts.
That's it.
And I was a little bastard. I was annoying. We were going through the mall, and my parents like stopped at some store or whatever. They were looking at something, and there was a tape on.
Yeah.
And it was Raffi, this bearded Lothario, just performing these acoustic guitar songs.
Nice.
And I stopped being a little cunt in the fucking stroller and just like. And my mom bought that tape. Like it was like she told me, she goes, I don't care if that tape, they told me it cost $1,000. Like the reaction that you had, it just kept you quiet. I was like transfixed by this.
Wow.
And so I think
The tones of the acoustic guitar are very calm.
I was thinking about doing a Raffi cover album. Like
You should.
Covering. I was thinking about like punk rock, like straight up.
Yes.
How the Bad Hormones would sound covering Raffi. Like I think
love it.
our version of Baby Beluga would be a really great song. And I like to eat apples and bananas. I think we could really revolutionize that.
Oh, I know that song. We used to sing that in the Boy Scouts when I was a little kid.
Yeah, what else did you sing in the Boy Scouts? Did you sing that song, Scrotum, a hairy sack of skin?
Yeah.
Scrotum, it keeps your
Nice.
testes in. It
Nice.
was classic. Were you a Boy Scout?
No.
You don't look like the type. You don't have a beard like us.
You're not rugged.
Cool scout beards.
Us sporting our Eagle
Nah,
Scout
Jim
beards.
Cook is the fashionable one.
Yeah, you're wearing an ascot.
Nah, it's a scarf, man. Jimmy Payne.
What's the difference between a scarf and an ascot?
The way you tie it.
Oh, you
And-
tuck it in, then it's an
Yeah.
ascot?
It's
Yeah,
how
and ascot I
pretentious.
think is shorter to begin with.
It says how pretentious the asshole wearing it is. So you're only just level 1 pretentious. You're not at level 2, the ascot level.
Alright, I'll take level one.
I wish I had a scarf. I feel left out.
I don't have a scarf either,
Yeah. We gotta up our fashion game.
right? I'm gonna wear an ascot next week and be a total douche.
Who's the asshole of the week?
Who is the asshole of the week? That fucking guy who wanted to be a politician. What the hell was his name? Down in North Carolina, who he had some guy who paid for votes or something. You know what the fuck I'm talking about? No, never mind.
Richard Harris, right?
Yeah, that's it.
He's an evangelical senator in a really heated race that had. But he's one of these guys that's like, oh, it's God's will that women should obey men, and all that horseshit.
You know what he said?
They should!
Oh my God.
I mean, what?
He said Three's Company was a plot by Hollywood to get us to accept homosexuals because Drag Tripper had to play a homosexual in that show.
It was! Jack Tripper was gay? I thought he wanted to fuck
He
both of those
pretended to be gay so he could be in the apartment, so the landlord would let him have an apartment with 2 girls.
girls.
Because
I
Mr.
never
Roper
got
was
that.
traditional, but it's funny that Mr. Roper accepted a homosexual. So you're probably, I guess I could see why he could use that to construe it to make his point.
It wasn't a
Were
plot. It was just
Oscar and Felix having relations? Were they having coitus?
I don't know, but Felix is kind of a little bitch in that show, so he's always like not talking to Oscar and stuff.
What about Perfect Strangers? Was it that perfect?
Cousin Larry, Cousin Larry.
So much better than Sheep.
Yeah, that's like a crazy. I don't know. When you think about like even I like thinking about Paul Lynde. Remember Paul Lynde? Like, there's like a
Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, he would always be on Hollywood Squares, and he was always super flamboyant.
Nelson Riley was like that too.
Yeah. He molested the kid from Munsters.
Shut up.
Eddie Munster, got molested by Charles Nelson Riley.
That's horrible.
I know. Why are you smiling?
Because it's kind of funny, but it's horrible.
No,
that would turn me into Rambo. I would have to get revenge.
He ended up all right.
Yeah, that's good.
He sells collectibles now, but
right, he's fine.
Sometimes he'll show up to the Let East.
He looks the same when he's fat.
But no, like Paul Lynde, they always portrayed him as like a family man. And it's like, oh, kids, like that is not. They tried.
Oh God.
Yeah, like when they interview Liberace, they're like, "When are you going to settle down with a woman?"
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
You don't know how this works.
I kind of like wish that people were just more honest. It's like, Dan Rather asking Liberace, "Well, when are you going to settle down with a woman?" Well, actually, Dan, I'd really prefer the cock. Like, just brutal honesty.
I really rather settle down with a stiff cock.
I think it would be better.
What, just
for entertainment? Everybody, just everybody's honest and like kind of like vulgar about it. Just like cock and pussy talk all the time, like on the news. I think that would make this country great again. Like, I feel like the news now, in my opinion, has replaced like what religion used to be for people.
Oh my God! Oh, so news is the.
So it's like people used to go to church and people used to like care and I gotta go volunteer for my church. Now they're like, what the fuck did CNN say? What the fuck did Fox News say? Like, looking around and all this shit. Like, people. The whole concept of religion, and religion has perverted itself. It has proven itself to just be a bunch of savages, fucking child molesters, and all kinds of horridness anyway.
It's just the way to control
everyone's a fucking cunt. Yeah. But I feel like the idea of religion was like a kind of a good thing. Like, okay, like I won't murder, I won't do this. Like, it's not all wrong.
I think that there was just people that took the natural capacity of people to question, their surroundings and the nature that they were in, to use, as leverage for their own political purposes.
Precisely.
That's been the problem.
Political, financial, all kinds of purposes.
But it's funny, like
nothing wrong with being
But every culture did it, because every culture has a flood myth. So at one point in time, so the Bible almost becomes like a recording of history to some extent. But at the same, it's been rewritten so many fucking times. How can you?
We
use
should
that?
rewrite it again. You're a writer.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's rewrite the Bible.
Okay.
Well, all right, Leviticus, the death sentence for the homosexuals, like, man shall not lay with man. But in the same verse, they're talking about like selling your kids for slavery if they don't obey. And so,
I would sell my kids for slavery if they don't obey.
Is that how it was in the Christian Horde? Like, if you guys didn't do your chores, you got thrown on the street.
When my sisters grew up, my parents, according to 3 of them, emptied out their bank account and kicked them out of the house.
Wow.
So yeah, kind of.
Fucked up.
It's a fucked up thing.
Wait, emptied out their bank accounts?
My like siblings, like, oh yeah, well we spent money to raise you, so we're just taking this. Like,
God damn.
I'm getting that secondhand and in Chinglish from my sister who speaks half English. So maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe she's not telling me something. But it is a very fucked up like situation as far as I'm concerned. Like, that's your kid, Right. Like, I wish if I had money, that's who I would help. Is like all the fucking kids that like my parents just adopted and. Like, I have nieces and nephews out there now that I don't know. They live far away.
Yeah.
It's like a crazy situation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I think about, like, that would be, I don't know, like, I don't talk to most of them because, like, whatever. Like, if they ever want to talk to me, they probably know where to find me. I think I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah, at Paul of the Living Dead.
Yeah, like, so if they ever want to talk, and I would never, like, malign my parents to them, like, if their impression of my parents is that my parents are cool, whatever. Maybe my parents have changed. I don't know. You know, my dad, my stepmom. I don't know. I can't say.
How long has it been since you talked to him?
Since my brother's funeral, which was that's a good story. My brother's wake. So
Was he older or younger?
my brother was younger than me, and he committed suicide. So I get a fucking knock on my door at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I look in the peephole and it's fucking 5 cops, and I'm like, fuck, like I'm going to jail. Like
Right.
they don't send 5 cops for fucking, you know. So I'm like, what can I help you? They're like, oh yeah, we need to come in and talk to you. I'm like, you can't come in. I'm gonna come out there. 'Cause, you know, I was smoking weed. I was going to sleep. Like, so I go outside and talk to the cops, and they're like, "Are you Dave?" I go, "No." I go, "That's my brother." It's like, you know, are you looking for him? Like, he's not here. They're like, no, he like passed away. Like they told me. So I'm like, fuck. Like, now I realize these guys aren't gonna arrest me.
Why did they need 5 of them to tell you? Is it...
I you know, I don't know. I think maybe they just had nothing going on. It was a quiet night. Like, that's a shitty thing to have to tell somebody. So, and you don't know how somebody's gonna react. And they probably found a lot of drugs at his house, so they probably would assume that I was maybe you know, privy to that, you know, or whatever. Like,
or yeah, they're just investigating. Yeah, they're probably investigating. You know,
no, they weren't investigating me. They came to notify me, and they were super cool.
That's good.
I actually did let them in my apartment. I'm like, you guys can come in, whatever. They're like, we don't care. You know, we smell it. We don't care. That's basically what they said to me. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's get out of here. I'm like, I had to be released to somebody. So they released me to my friend Billy, who drives down from Sayreville. I call him. We're sitting at a diner. I'm just like,
Gotta?
Yeah, I'm just bullshitting with these cops and fucking talking. Like, we're connected on a human level because I've just found the worst news of my life.
Right.
And they're just sort of like observing me like, oh, he seems like okay, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they were concerned. Their whole thing, like, the one cop, like, put his arm around me. He's like, you know, my brother or my cousin, same kind of thing happened. And, you know, like, that was honestly my best police experience ever. The Bloomfield police were awesome.
Cool.
But, so, like, fast forward, I get home. I have to tell my parents. It's, like, crazy having to tell your parents. You know, I know my brother said nobody else knows. Like, I could have told nobody if nobody called them. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
Fuck, like, I am the holding person of this very important piece of information.
Right.
And it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting in my apartment.
Yeah, what do you do? But
I'm not going to call my parents at 4 o'clock. Like, they're not going to sleep. I know they're not going to sleep for another fucking God knows how long after finding out that their son is dead.
Right.
So,
was he one of the adopted kids? Or
no, that was my biological brother from like 1988. Like, there was me, and then there was him, and then my parents got divorced, and then there was everybody else. So that was like the closest like biological person like to me, you know. So I called them. I called them at like 6 o'clock in the morning, figuring like, okay, it's like time to get up, kind of, you know. Like, they don't take it well. My parents, they're like, don't go anywhere. We're getting in the car. We're coming down. So then we do the funeral. You know, we go to the funeral home. And that guy's our neighbor. Like, from when I'm like a kid. Like, so sitting in there, it's like my dad, my stepmom. My dad's giving me grief about the obituary. Because he's like, you know, oh, I want everybody's name in the obituary. I go, you know what? This really isn't about everybody. Like, I don't fucking... For people that he saw maybe once or twice a year, and, you know, it is what it is. It's like, we gotta pay for this by the fucking line. This is absurd.
They say that stuff is for the living, you know?
Yeah.
You know what, though? Like...
But still...
That was
what the fuck.
But I see your.
I wanted to make my brother's obituary. What I would have made it was like, a lot different than what it was, you know. But it was just all I had to do was say that he passed. Like I didn't mention a lot of people in it. Like he passed away. He's a young guy. It's who he's survived by. Fuck that. Like
Yeah, right.
I really, you know, I didn't care. Like for all I know, I don't even remember if I was, you know what I mean? Like I think I left it pretty fucking slim. But like my dad took that like very personally, and then my sister wanted to talk at his wake, and nobody's really talking. Like there was no point. I went up and I thanked everybody for coming, and she was like, "Why didn't you introduce me to talk?" Like if you want to go talk. Like there's go to the front of the room, stand up there, talk. You know, and she didn't, and it was like I'm the asshole for not like introducing her so she could read whatever fucking shit she. You know what I mean? Like, please, I had so much. I was fucking tripping balls. I smoked so much weed before my brother's wake, and I was like fucking sitting in the car, just zoning out. I was crying, and I saw this girl in the distance, and I'm like, is that my mom? She looks so beautiful. And my friends are like, that girl's like 24. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I was not myself.
Well, yeah,
for a long time after that, and I think just like my family, I'm still not myself. I don't RSVP to shit. Like I'm kind of like a recluse, and just I don't deal with people. Like if they call me, I'll talk to them, but like I don't go out. I don't seek out my family. I don't go to family functions and stuff like that. It's not a personal thing. It's like I don't know. I think it's just a self-preservation thing at this point.
I think your dad was kind of unfair to you to say that at that time, man, about the obituary, to be honest.
Well, my dad's an asshole.
That kind of sounds like him and the sister and all just put undue pressure on you for no reason.
Well, that's what I felt like. I was like, at that point, who wants to deal with that, you know? Like, my brother's dead. Like, I don't give at the end of the day, I really didn't give a fuck about the whole thing. But at the time, that seems like the most important thing. If now, do I even know what the obituary says now? No. I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
But at the time, that seemed like that's gonna be like the tribute to him, like that, you know, this can't be bogged down with nonsense about your bad decisions, Dad.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how that guy thinks he's gonna fucking afford college for 10 kids. That's insane to me that anybody would let anybody adopt their 11th kid.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's like...
It's like cult status.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's really weird to me. I don't mean to bring the show to a weird
There's this
note,
like very conservative family called the Duggars, and then
that's what
they had a reality show, and it turned out one of them was like fucking molesting some of the siblings. It was fucking crazy.
I think that's kind of like, I think my dad realized like, me and my brother are two like, whatever, we party, we're stoners, we don't really give a fuck about like careers, and we want to just kind of play rock and roll and do what, you know, chicks, or in his case, I guess dudes, you know, whatever, like,
live life.
Yeah, do whatever the fuck we want. And so my dad was like, okay, like I'm gonna start this new family that's like kind of like the stepfather, you know, like it's gonna be the perfect family. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
And I think
that was a fucked up movie.
I'm like the last remnant of like, I know shit about that guy that like those kids would have, their minds would be blown, you know what I'm saying? Like I saw shit that I didn't forget as a kid, that I know, but it's like, I'm not, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna destroy his image to his kids. Like, that's not my place in the world. But
what good would it do?
If they asked, I would give them my side of the story, but I'm not going to just, hey, you know, your father's an asshole, you know what I mean? Like,
the thing is people do change over time, and how a parent is like I don't know. My father was very different to my sister, who's 9 years older than me, than he was to my brother. My brother and my father hated each other, and I was the baby.
That doesn't mean that they changed. It just means that people interact differently.
Circumstances change.
He had the time to be the father for me.
Time changes people. Yeah, was he retired or something by the time? Or
not retired, but he He worked for Deluxe Check Printers in Clifton for years and years and years. Then they moved to Mountain Lakes. They got automated. And look, Deluxe was a good company. They took care of their employees. They did the family picnics and the Christmas parties at the Bethwood. And they really, you know, it was a good company. And my mom, and when my father passed, my mom was left with stuff to live on.
That's good.
That's great.
And she was left with something. They had a profit share, but they bought him out early before his true retirement.
Okay.
They pushed him out, but it was kind of a buyout. And you know, but my sister always said he was a different dad to you than he was to me.
Huh.
And he's like, there's stuff about him I don't want to tell you because I don't want to
I'm
ruin the luster.
sure. I believe that my father's definitely a different dad to my stepsisters or my stepbrother or whatever than he was to me. And
Maybe it's some redemption in his
when I
life.
was a kid, it was like his whole thing was like to kind of piss off my mom. So it would be like, I'm gonna show the kids whatever movies they pick out at the video store, you know.
Right.
So like I watched Chucky and like all kinds of shit. Like I shouldn't have probably been watching at 5-6 years old, but it was like, Dad's house is like a party on the weekends, you know. All eat is Lucky Charms and fucking macaroni and cheese and watch crazy movies on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
Oh, you're the easiest kid in the world to take care of.
oh my god, my dad would like, he was cool. Like when I was a kid, he would like hit up a yard sale and just buy like a bunch of Game Boy games or whatever, you know. Like he was always looking out for us. Like, I guess he had a lot of free time during the week when he, you know, was just, he'd go to work, come home. Like I can't imagine what that's like, but like, you know, your kids are somewhere else. Like that's got to be a weird feeling.
Yeah.
And then you date somebody and then your kids don't like them and you marry them. It's like, I would kind of trust my kid's intuition, I think.
Right.
If I had a kid and I dated a girl, you know, like I don't think if my kid was like, I really don't like her, I don't think I would fucking marry her.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Right.
You know, maybe I would. Maybe I would be a selfish asshole and a terrible father. And maybe that's why I don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think about that too. It's like, you know, I realized when I was a kid, seeing like my parents with the split custody and all something, like I fucking never want to deal with this. Like,
Yeah.
I you know, I don't think I would be a terrible father, but I never want to fucking deal with this.
Yeah, me too.
And even married and divorced is like, Jesus Christ, like I'm glad I don't have a fucking kid.
Hell yeah, I was just saying that the other day. Elle and I were laying in bed and we were like, man, we're so glad we don't have kids. It was quiet. It was just peaceful. We were at peace.
We're gonna party all night long because we don't have any kids.
I don't really talk. I don't talk to my dad either, and I also have I have half sisters who I don't talk to. Although I'm friends on Facebook with some of them, but we just don't really interact. And I stopped talking to my father at 18, and I saw him briefly at my sister's wedding, and that was it. But my dad's kind of like a liar and a con man, and he just owes money to everyone in my family. And they you know, invite my mom to family, like, you know, holidays and parties and stuff, and they don't invite my dad, so that kind of just tells you. And then he lived in my grandmother's house.
Oh, the other side invites your mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my mom too.
And then he lives in my grandmother's house. He hasn't paid rent for all these years, and he hasn't paid any utilities, and now she has Alzheimer's. He doesn't help take care of her, nothing.
Wow, sounds like a classy guy.
Total dick. And I don't really know.
I think my dad and your dad are
the
the assholes of the week.
probably more than a week. But I hated my stepmother as well. And I thought all those kids were spoiled. And I think my dad just gave in to the pressure of my stepmom. I think it had nothing to do with him being a different dad. I think he just did whatever she said. And basically he put everything in her name, so my mom couldn't get any money in the divorce settlement and shit like that. Not that they had anything anyway. So basically she just had him by the balls. So he kind of wrote his own hell. You know what I mean?
He signed his own death warrant. Good for him.
So I always said that I was also as charismatic as he is, but I try to use my powers for good instead of evil. So that's my
And
thing.
now you have that sexy beard.
Hey now.
We're the Beard Brothers.
The Beard Brothers!
And you know whose dick I would suck?
Who?
None. Because we have consent in this country. And,
Hooray! Yeah, what about all the sex slaves in this country?
well, you know, I don't know. They're working on it.
Okay. Work in progress.
They're working on it. It's a work in progress.
That sex trafficking thing is what pretty much shut down Craigslist dating.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were talking about the guy from the Patriots or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, come with the hooker, yeah. Kraft, Bob Kraft, Michael Kraft.
I wish it was Sid and Marty Croft.
Yeah.
That got caught with a hooker.
Nice.
And the hooker was just some witch. Like, I think all those shows had a
Green
witch.
screen. Everything on those shows was always like a guy like wrapped in like the Christmas lights in a green screen suit, like walking around like it's a white monster.
There was HR Puff and stuff. There was Sig and the Sea Monster.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a kid, they showed a lot of those reruns.
HR, Puff and stuff.
Those guys.
That was supposed to be a show for kids, but Stoners is what we're keeping it on the air.
Yeah.
Who's your asshole of the week, Jim?
I'm not gonna give a full name, but I will say this. Ladies, if your guy can't get it up or doesn't perform, just say that is so Brandon. Enough said.
Okay. On that note, I think we're out of here.
We're out of here, guys.
We have an outro, right?
Nice.
Right?
We have an outro.
Somewhere. Hold on.
Done by a semi-professional hack.
Semi-professional hack.
Oh, yeah.
We hope you enjoyed our presentation of Cult of Contempt podcast. If you have any questions or comments, or want to hear your band on the show, just write us at cultofcontemptpodcast@gmail.com, or check us out on Instagram or right here on Facebook. On behalf of Paul and Phil, I want to thank you for listening. We'll see you next week at 8:15. I'm Jim Cook. Transmission out.